Hey everyone, in this video, I want to show you all of the new features in Cortex 2.2. Uh, and I'm going to try my best to show literally all of the features that we've added in 2.2. Hopefully this video doesn't get too long, but I'm going to go through it super rapid fire. If you have any questions on any of the features that I show, or anything Cortex related, be sure to check out the Cortex users group or our Discord server. Links to get invites to both are in the video description. Now with that, let's get straight to it. So first off, I want to show you the improvements that we've made to Cortex for Cherwell. So here's my demo system. Again, this is the uh, publicly available demo that I've shown in all of the videos. So you can see everything that I'm about to describe. Most of the changes that we've made to Cortex for Cherwell are around this search screen. And they're actually fairly subtle changes, but really powerful. The first one is that this dropdown is now no longer just a list of major business objects. It is every business object in the section in the system, and it is split up into major business objects, supporting business objects, and lookup tables. Um, and it has a search here, so if you want to say look for change request, there we go. It's in major, and you can choose that directly there. In addition to that, we've added some more functionality to the filters. So if you choose field, not only do you get a list of the fields directly on change request, which are of course searchable, but you also get a list of all of the different relationships. And the way these are set up is it's the name of the business object and then the relationship in parentheses. So in the case of, let's actually go back to incident, right? And a common field that we search on incident is something related to like the customer, right? Customer incident links customer. You might want to see customer and then say like last name, right? And then do is equal to and so on and so forth, specific value. And we get it like that. So you can build more powerful filters. You could build filters that include criteria on related objects. We also cleaned up uh, some of this UI a little bit. Um, this selection of what business objects to search used to be a set of um, checkboxes, which were a little confusing, so we fixed that up. We also added this checkbox, which is brand new, search related objects, which basically allows you to do something like this, which might be either a related CI or in a description field, which would be, or sorry, would be on the specifics, something on the specifics form. So we can do a search for that. These queries do take a little bit more time because we're searching more uh, um, items, more records. So it searches the related records as well. And then we get all of the different incidents that have max lap, which is the name of a CI, in not just the incident itself, but the related items as well. This is something that many people have been asking for, and we're happy to include it in Cortex 2.2. We've also added some things around the structure. So if we go to one steps, you'll notice this UI is a little bit different. Instead of just a list of the different one steps that you can see in the system, it starts to look kind of like the manager in Cherwell. So you choose your business object up at the top here, and then this tree structure shows you not only the different scopes that you might have one steps in, but actually the folders that those one steps are in as well. So of course you can see the core one steps, but anything that's in the portal folder and so on and so forth. So you can expand global and see all of that as well. Um, so you see the one steps in exactly where you would have seen them folder structure wise in Cherwell as well. Let's see. Some things that I can't show you as easily. We added some system functions. So we added the current login ID and server date time system functions. Um, those were being used by at least a few databases. So if you were using those in your configuration, those are now picked up correctly. Of course, current login ID comes from who you are here. I'm not logged in as a user that actually has a Cherwell user attached to it, so I don't have any of that information. But the current login ID and the server date time are picked up automatically from your user. Now, in addition to the Cortex for Cherwell stuff, we also made a lot of changes to the mail processing and platform side of things. So let's switch over to my platform demo. And the first thing that we actually have a separate video on, it's so big that we made a separate video on it, is actually email conversation handling. So the idea here is that if you send an email and CC a bunch of people and send that into your support system, if those people who are CC'd start responding to the original email, Cortex automatically brings them all together into the same ticket or whatever record was created from that initial email, and it doesn't start creating additional tickets. So we're excited about that. Again, check out that separate video. I'll leave that linked in the video description. Now, we've added support for multiple new types of data sources, uh, and I'll just go through them. So Halo has been there for a while, API has been there for a while, Cherwell has been there for a while. That basically is a way to access the Cherwell archive data. Platform has been there for a little bit, and I'll show a little bit more about that in just a second. But we also have the ability to connect to a mailbox, so you can treat your mailbox as a data source. And what this looks like is basically you select a mail account that you've set up in um, the email monitoring section. In addition to that, we also have support for databases, and right now it's Microsoft SQL Server only. We'll add support for other types of databases in the future. So if you just have a database with a bunch of data that you want to bring into Cortex, either to use with Cortex Actions or to correlate with some Cherwell data, you can do that through here. We also have a way to basically import a CSV file and treat that as a data source. Um, this can be useful for uh, populating uh, lookup tables for use with mail monitor actions. So if emails come in, you want to correlate something that came in the email with some sort of lookup data that you have in a CSV. You can basically load a platform table from a CSV by importing it here. This file path is specifically a file path to the local system that Cortex is running on. Um, we have plans to kind of extend that and make that a little more sophisticated in the future. But at least for now, if you're running an IIS on Windows, just drop a CSV on the server, plop the file path in here, and you'll be able to correlate all of that. You'll be able to import that um, and use it as a data source. Now, so that's data sources. That's what we've added uh, in um, in Cortex 2.2 as far as data sources are concerned. We also added some kind of behind the scenes functionality. So if a data source supports paging, we'll pull back 30 records, 50 records, something like that, not try to pull back all of the records to improve performance everywhere we can. Um, and we also handle HTML values and plain text values a little bit better. So if we need a plain text value and all we have is an HTML value, we'll convert it over to plain text and vice versa. Now, let's talk about Cortex Actions because we actually made quite a few changes in Cortex Actions. And Cortex Actions specifically show up in a few different places. They show up obviously in the standalone action screen. They show up in some cases with email monitoring. So email monitoring is kind of a stripped down version of Cortex Actions. And Cortex Actions also show up if you're using Cortex as a migration platform or an import platform. So if you're moving, say, Cherwell data into something like Halo, moving a bunch of incidents across, moving a bunch of configuration items across, Cortex Actions define kind of behind the scenes. We have a better UI in that particular scenario, but Cortex Actions define the transformations that actually happen and what we actually do to each individual record. So you can see here I've added a few Cortex actions. And this is actually, I use this instance to pull some information out of some of my email inboxes and save it to my contacts object here. And uh, we can actually see, I'm just going to open this up. We can see a few new features in this particular action. So we added pre-steps and post-steps. If you're familiar with Cherwell, you've seen pre-steps and post-steps before. The idea is basically if you're running an action on a collection of records, the per record steps execute once for every single record in that data set. The pre-steps happen once before any of those records are processed. The post-steps happen after all of those records are processed. If you're only executing a Cortex action against one record, the pre-steps and post-steps don't really matter. They all execute just once. Pre-steps, per record steps, and post-steps, they all execute just once because you only have one record. But if you're dealing with a collection of record, that's when pre-steps and post-steps um, come into play. Now, in any one of these steps categories, we have a few new actions. So we have one where we can call a web service, which is basically just executing an HTTP call to uh, wherever. And this basically looks like Postman. If you're familiar with Postman or another API testing tool, that's essentially what this view is. Obviously, it looks a little bit different because it's within Cortex, but that's essentially what this does. Let's see. We also have talked about pre and post steps. We have a way to output results to a log, and we also had we cleaned up the UI a little bit here and there as well. And I want to say we added another action type, but I'm not finding in my notes. Oh well. Moving on. We added. I mentioned these objects here. Well, how do we get objects? That comes through this admin and through blueprints. So one thing that I wanted to show you here is if I create a new blueprint, I can create a new business object and I can import the table schema from a data source. So I can say, I want to import the schema from, let's say, Halo and from incident. And now I have a table. In this case, I'm calling it incident and incident, which I'm not actually going to save that because that would cause an issue because I already have an incident table. Um, but it pulled all of the column names, all of the field names from the incident table in Halo. And similarly, if I change it to say business task, that didn't change a whole lot, but you saw the page refresh and it pulls in those fields from this business task um, object name. Uh, I'm going to exit that and go back to blueprints. Just get rid of this blueprint because I don't need that hanging around. So that's how you can create a new table from an existing schema from an existing data source, and then you can use that to migrate records into the platform. We also have, if I go to customer, um, obviously I have a new button here where I can create a new record. We added a button so that if I'm on just a customer record, I can hit new and create a new customer right from there. So if I created a new customer here, and I said, Dwight Fruit, and hit save, well, I'm still on that record. Now I can create another one and say, um, well, we'll do Michael Scott. There we go, and hit save. There we go. We've added a bunch of customers right from that screen. Let's see, what else did we add? Uh, we have, I don't think I have a business object that I've created that has a multi-line text control, but for longer text fields, it'll show a larger field, basically a text area, instead of just this short field here. And if you went to create a blueprint and you just created a table and didn't create a grid or a form, one would automatically be generated for you. So you would still see the item in the list, and you could click on, so in this case, customer. Let's say I didn't define a customer grid, I would automatically get a customer grid. So nothing would break. You would always have a way to get to the data, see the data, add new records. It would automatically create a grid and a form for you so you can get right to uh, adding data, modifying data. This is very useful for, again, like I said, lookup tables. If you're importing a CSV into uh, a new table, you don't necessarily need to go through the effort of creating a form, creating a grid. You just need to get data in there so that you can start using it. And that's why we added some of the stuff. We also added a few other features which you can find in the release notes. The release notes will be on our documentation site very, very soon. And if you're on one of our lists, you probably got an email with the full list of changes in Cortex 2.2. One thing that I didn't go through in this video is we fixed a bunch of bugs as well. Um, some of them are kind of nuanced behind the scenes, difficult to demo. Uh, so that's why I didn't show them. I focused on the features in this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below or send us an email, join our Discord server, join the Cortex users group, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, show you how to use the platform if you have questions specifically about how to apply it to a particular situation that you're looking to use it in. Because we'd love to have you use this platform to handle your email, handle your incoming email, even if you're using an ITSM platform that already has an email processing component to it. Um, Ours, I can guarantee, is more sophisticated than what you're using. And especially if you use the Cherwell email and event monitor, you're probably having to make sacrifices moving to a different platform. If you don't want to make those sacrifices, if you want to keep some of the sophistication that you had in the Cherwell email and event monitor, definitely check out our email processor in Cortex, because I think you'll find that you can do most, if not all, of what you did in the Cherwell email monitor. And anything that you can't do, we can certainly add. We want to add all of that because email happens, right? Email is still being widely used. Um, Email is not going away, and it's just really easy for people to send email. The biggest challenge that I see with people trying to use email is that the systems that are processing the email just don't do it very well. We want to change that. We handle email. We're continuing to improve how we handle email, and we want to make sure that your users can do what feels natural to them without increasing the burden on your support team, and that's really where Cortex sits. So, with all that being said, definitely check out Cortex. You can download the latest version from our download site, which also is linked in the video description. Um, you can leave comments, you can leave a like, you can subscribe to the video if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And that would be greatly appreciated because we post lots of stuff here on new features, new release announcements, that sort of thing. And of course, join us on Discord and at our Cortex users group. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.